Now that we have the new Galaxy Tab S10 Lite, you'll notice it's really similar to the Galaxy Tab S10 FE, but which one is the better option? Well, let's talk about it. As far as price goes, the new Tab S10 Lite is the new cheapest tablet that includes the S Pen at $349, while the S10 FE is normally $499. It's currently only $429. Both of these start with 128 gigabytes of storage, but can go up to 256 gigabytes. You can also use a micro SD card to expand the storage on both of these tablets. Build quality and design is very similar between these two. In fact, these two are so close that you can actually use the same accessories on both of these. The S10 Lite is actually heavier at 524 grams versus 497 for the S10 FE. Both of these tablets have a 10.9-inch size screen, but the resolution is a little less on the S10 Lite at 1320 by 2112 versus 1440 by 2304 on the S10 FE. Both of these have up to 90 Hz refresh rate, but the S10 Lite is a TFT display versus IPS for the S10 FE. I feel like you get a little better blacks and a little better contrast and better viewing angles on the FE. Now on paper, both of these actually say they're about the same brightness at about 600 nits, but in person you can definitely see a difference. The Tab S10 FE has better viewing angles and looks a little more vibrant or brighter, but if you're looking directly at both of these, they're actually closer than you would think. I know some people may like the larger plus size tablets, but to me these are a little more comfortable to use, especially if you're traveling. These fit perfectly on airplane trays. Both of these tablets have an 8,000 milliamp hour battery, and there's a ton of variables when it comes to battery life, but I ran the same battery drain test at 100% screen brightness on both of these tablets, and the FE lasted about 7 hours versus 7.5 hours for the Lite. So pretty comparable when it comes to battery life. Both of these should last a couple days with normal use, even longer once you turn the screen brightness down. One advantage with the FE is it has up to 45 watt fast charging versus only 25 watts for the Lite. Not a huge deal in my opinion, but it is nice once you start using devices that have 45 watts or higher for charging. Now when it comes to software, these two are almost identical. There's not going to be a lot of differences between these two, considering they're both on Android 15. If you've used other Samsung products within the last couple years, these two are going to feel very familiar with the Edge panel over on the side, Google Discover or Samsung News left of the home screen, or Samsung Free. I don't know, they keep changing the name. Both of these also have Samsung DeX if you want to be a little more productive. You can also do multitasking on both of these. I feel like the only downside on these two compared to the regular Tab S11 or S10 series is there's no video out, so you can't just connect an HDMI adapter to use with a projector, TV, or external monitor. Of course, you do have the wireless option though on both of these. One advantage you will get with the S10 FE is it has a fingerprint scanner right on the power button, which is always nice to have on a tablet. I was hoping that you would get the new style of S Pen on the S10 Lite, but no, it's pretty much the same as the S10 FE, although you could just order the new style of S Pen and use on either one of these tablets. I do think the new style is a little bit more comfortable, but obviously it's going to be a personal preference there. And the nice thing is you don't have to charge the S Pen on either tablet as well. The best part of the software on these two tablets is you're going to get 7 years of software updates, including security updates, which was unheard of just a couple years ago. Both of these tablets come with an Exynos processor. You've got the 1380 in the S10 Lite, 1580 for the S10 FE. One advantage for the S10 FE is it starts with 8 gigabytes of RAM versus 6 gigabytes for the S10 Lite. If you go with the larger storage options, the S10 Lite goes up to 8 gigabytes versus 12 gigabytes for the S10 FE. So not a huge surprise, but you can see the S10 FE has a little better performance across the board, but they're probably close enough that I don't think most people are going to notice when doing the basic day-to-day things. I think both of these are good options to do some light gaming on as well. I also think these are a little more comfortable while gaming. It's just easier to reach things on the screen versus the larger Plus version. When it comes to speakers, you've got one on each side for both tablets. They're not going to sound as nice or as loud as the higher end tablets, but I think they're probably loud enough for most things. And it's going to be probably close enough between these two that I don't think you can go wrong with either one. But here's a quick sample of each just to give you an idea of how they sound.
But
One advantage with the FE is you get a higher resolution 13 megapixel camera on the back versus 8 megapixels for the Lite, 12 megapixel on the front versus 5 megapixels on the Lite. You can also shoot up to 4K 30 frames per second for video recording on the FE versus only 1080p on the Lite. So not a huge surprise, but the cameras are going to be a little bit better on the S10 FE, but you should be able to use either one for Zoom meetings or other video conference calls if you need to. Just make sure you have good lighting. Here's a quick sample of each just to give you an idea of how they compare. Now I do like the update going from the S6 Lite to the S10 Lite while still keeping the cost down. I think it gets a little tricky on whether it's worth upgrading to the S10 FE when comparing the S10 FE and the S10 Lite. It may just come down to if some of those upgrades are worth it to you or not. I might wait for the S10 FE to go on sale. Otherwise, the S10 Lite should be good enough for most people and is a nice upgrade if you're coming from the Galaxy Tab A9 Plus or something similar in my opinion. But if you like tablets, I've got a lot more stuff that I'm working on, so you'll definitely want to keep an eye out for those upcoming videos. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.